Go ahead, Andy. You want to say something?
I couldn't agree more, but you know, when the
what are you eating at the buffet table, though? What do you like most?
Volume that went through. Nature will take care of things that shouldn't be in the ecosystem, and 10 years from now we'll look back. But that was a build. Like, that was an amazing feat of global coordination of liquidity to have that happen. So
On Solana.
on Solana, and you know, when did you? Who had on their bingo card that the president would put up a website with a Solana address at the bottom? Like, that was pretty cool. So it doesn't matter how it happens, but it did advance a lot of things, and it educated a lot of people. So the right and wrong will wash away with time, but it was a groundbreaking thing that was pretty impressive to watch. And for investors who want to stay at the quality end of the curve, yeah, you got to have some Solana. You don't want to, this week proved, you don't want to bet against Ethereum too hard. You may not want to pick which layer ones, but you want that top layer of infrastructure, because all that stuff is going to be happening up there. So, you know, Trump is not in CoinDesk 20. It won't be, it can't be, but the results of it, the picks and shovels are in there. And so it was impressive.
So when we looked at advisor surveys and investor surveys, the number one reasons people gave for not investing yet in crypto was there was no wrapper they liked. Most of them preferred an ETF. We now have the ETF specifically in the US and elsewhere globally. And the other one was regulatory clarity. We got a decent amount of regulatory clarity when the SEC approved the Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs. It may not be explicit in some regards, but that was pretty well done, right? But there's still a lot of regulatory clarity that needs to be sorted out. You mentioned the Stable and Genius Acts on stablecoins. Anthony obviously thinks they're going to get done. Wow, we probably need a market structure bill. I guess I'm going to go to you, John. Are institutions that are thinking about entering the space, how much are they relying on some sort of, you know, legal framework coming out of Congress in the US, or are they worried about regulatory clarity in order to get into this space?
I think that you can't generalize. All institutions aren't the same, and there's certainly those that are sort of the early adopters. You are seeing the financial intermediary, now that you have the ETF wrapper, embrace it. If you had asked, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, how many advisors had put their clients into a crypto or Bitcoin, it would be a zero, while their clients had actually bought it on their own. So this, and in the US, money moves through the financial intermediary. That's a big money channel as opposed to direct to retail. I think this isn't so different from ETFs, where it's not a straight line. The regulations take time. The American Stock Exchange was in front of the SEC for 7 years before the SPDR was approved, and then it started with only equity indexes, and then it went to fixed income indexes a couple of years later, self-indexing after that, commodities. So it's a journey, but I think we have that momentum. It is happening. Writing the legislation, though, isn't easy, and some of it may or may not get approved. I'm not as bullish that it will actually get done, but I'm not sure it needs to get done for the asset class to thrive. You just need the SEC not to regulate through enforcement.
See, Pascal,
so we speak to a lot of advisors, of course, and before the ETFs, it was hard because you had access through SMAs. You just say to your client, go on Coinbase or go on Kraken and just buy and just do what you have to do. So today, the ETFs are available. From that being said, Bitcoin, again, why we're seeing the dominance is the easier one to explain if client demand is there. We're seeing some of the asset managers being a little more innovative and just adding Bitcoin as part of their global macro portfolio. So now everyone gets Bitcoin without having to be sold Bitcoin. And so people are solving for the access problem and the problem of the advisor not having to have career risk by saying, let's go 3% Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden volatility kicks in, and he's got 200 clients calling him like he's trying to golf. He doesn't want that, okay? So basically, the advisors are saying, we're comfortable with Bitcoin, we're comfortable with these macro funds. What we really want is an index and a basket. Because then we can go to our client and say, it's a diversified, professionally managed, solution, and we're going to put that in your portfolio, and I could go golfing.
We call them 5%ers, right? The advisors manage in the United States over $100 trillion, and there's trillions in retirement funds, trillions in annuities. You don't want that 5% allocation to be 20% or 50% of your headaches, right? That ultimately we feel will have a Bitcoin chunk and we'll have an index chunk. We hope CoinDesk 20 will be that index chunk. And then that's what you hold for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. And by then I think that's a pretty solid bet.
Anthony, you had something you wanted to say?
Well, just briefly, I think Jonathan's ultimately right about legislation. It's very cumbersome, as a huge sausage factory. But I just want to remind people that Fair Shake, the crypto pack, came in 24, dumped $250 million in. Other crypto aspirants gave the president something like $150 million to help him win that election. And I find it very hard to believe that the Democrats are not going to be at least crypto neutral by the time we get to the 26 election season. So that's the reason why I'm optimistic. But Jonathan and I have a lot of experience with this stuff, and we can go haywire when you're in the Congress, but I think the incentives are there to get these bills passed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not optimistic on this asset class and more broadly after this panel, you probably weren't listening too well, but that's all we have time for. Thank you, everyone, for coming early.
Hey,
Great job.
Thank you.
We're always good to see you. We're going to see you this summer, I hope.
Hopefully.
Welcome back. We're coming to you live from the CoinDesk studio at Consensus 2025 in Toronto. I'm Christine Lee, joined by my colleague, Ben Schiller.
Good to be here. Thank you, Christine.
All right, so we're kicking off things. We heard from our Consensus chair, Michael Lau. We also heard from a panel that Bitcoin is an asset class, Anthony Scaramucci, Andy Bear, ETFs, et cetera, et cetera. You've had a key role in programming the sessions at Consensus, so give me a sense of what you're looking forward to. What are the highlights?
Yeah, so that session we were just watching with Anthony Scaramucci and the founder of Wisdom Tree and others was really talking about this idea of Bitcoin as an asset class and really coming of age in this cycle since the election. And they were talking about some of the politics around crypto regulation and then the impact of the US on other jurisdictions around the world. So that's one of the themes of this conference is that, post the American election, we're going to see other places like Canada being more front and center with crypto adoption in the capital markets.
I found it interesting when Anthony Scaramucci was talking about, when people think of Bitcoin as an asset class, everyone here already thinks of it as an asset class. It has to hit around $20 trillion.
Yeah.
It's at $3 trillion now. And then we have a whole slew of altcoins. Bitcoin dominance is at a 4-year high.
Yep.
And so where are we in the cycle now? It's getting more mature for sure.
Well, it's interesting for anyone who's tracked crypto for a long time, because a lot of people have obviously predicted that Bitcoin would become less and less important over time as more and more altcoins, different digital asset products came on the market. But actually the opposite has happened. There's been this flight to quality, which is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is as dominant now in the crypto market as it has been for 10 years or 8-9 years. So 65, 70% still So it's just been interesting in this kind of moment when some of the other assets are going down. Bitcoin has very much been the asset in the crypto market. And to a lot of people on Wall Street and other financial centers of the world, Bitcoin really is crypto. There is no crypto, it's just Bitcoin, which is obviously music to the ears of Bitcoiners around the world who've often said that Bitcoin is crypto and crypto isn't a thing really. So
it's interesting. You can really tell. Well, now Bitcoin is the OG, but you can also tell when people got into digital assets. If they're hardcore Bitcoiners. And then there was cryptocurrencies with Ethereum and the ICO boom, and then we started calling it Bitcoin or blockchain, not Bitcoin, but nowadays definitely Bitcoin, not blockchain. And then it started being called Web3. So, but at least a consensus, we embraced it all. We're just here for the digital asset revolution.
Well, that's true. I mean, we're sort of fairly agnostic about different chains, and that's one of the ideas of consensus, is to really bring all the tribes together. And we believe in the technology of blockchain decentralization as much as single assets like Bitcoin. So to us, let a million flowers bloom here, and you can see that very much represented across the 6 different stages here and the different speakers we have here. So it's not a Bitcoin fest.
We have 15,000 attendees from over 100 countries, over 450 speakers, over 200 side events. That's another thing about crypto conferences that I love. Whenever you have an event going, there are so many people from the crypto community also just throwing events, just getting people together, wanting to show their innovation, wanting to make deals happen.
And that's decentralization, right? And you can see that in this conference and in other conferences as well. It's like we're offering a platform for people to come in to Toronto, wherever we are, and set up their own event. And if they're interested in some esoteric art thing or some like esoteric finance thing, whatever they want to do, they can do their own event. And it's still part of the mix here, still part of the conversation. And we like to be very inclusive into everyone having a voice.
Just one note though on Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes up, it rises all boats. I mean, we're seeing a boom in Ethereum, which was the most hated coin for a while there, but now it's really surging. Let's take a quick look at Ethereum and Bitcoin actually. Okay, Bitcoin right now, $103,293. It's trading pretty flat today. Let's head on over to Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum is at 2572. Yesterday was ripping over 9%. You see that in the chart up there. Now it's still holding a sizable gain. So we're seeing a lot of acquisitions, mergers in this time because people are excited again. They want to see they see that the crypto market is back up and people are ready to make deals again.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Ethereum come up. Obviously, people have been complaining in the Ethereum community and the wider financial markets that Ethereum is a laggard in this cycle, that it's not running with Bitcoin, but it's now very much up in the last week, 25-30% from where it was. So, that's encouraging to see.
And as I mentioned earlier, Ethereum was born in Canada, in Toronto to be exact. Canada is the 10th largest economy in the world, with a GDP of over $2 trillion. It's a resource-rich country with plenty of blockchain adoption opportunities in sectors like energy, agriculture, healthcare, and finance. Joining us now to discuss is Kalea Carrington. She's the Executive Director of the Canadian Blockchain Consortium. Kalea, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So, I mean, Canada has quite a history in developing the crypto industry. And so tell me what is the latest that Canadians are doing to help this industry thrive?
I would say that we're very actively engaging with our policymakers and regulators. What we've seen in a lot of other G20 countries, looking at Singapore, Japan, the UK, even into like El Salvador, Middle East, a lot of times when these industries are starting to thrive, including the States, we're seeing legislative and policymakers producing the kind of policies that allow for regulators to interpret in such a way that it can become more friendly. So we're just engaging very strongly from a regulatory and policy perspective to help create a framework that makes Canada a more friendly place to do business.
So we just had an election here in Canada, but crypto was not really on the agenda very much, not like it was in the US election back in November.
Wait, I'll qualify that.
What?
I mean, Pierre Poilievre, he was a Bitcoiner. He said that
But he wasn't really discussing it during the
Okay, that is
campaign
true.
so much,
That is
right? So why was that? Why was crypto not really a thing here?
So I would say when Pierre had come out very pro-Bitcoin at one point, he had purchased some shawarma with Bitcoin, it became quite a big news story where the opposition or the leader, Justin Trudeau, a lot of negative rhetoric came out. So I'd say from our industry's perspective, we're actually quite happy that it didn't turn into more of a partisan-based issue where the conservative, or if you're used to American terms, Republican Party was very pro, and then the Democratic Party was very against it. So they didn't table it mainly because they didn't want the controversy, and they recognized that over 35% of Canadians actually interact within this industry, so neutrality was actually a better position to take than positive and negative opposing views.
What do we know about Mark Carney and his views on cryptocurrencies and the wanting any innovation in the digital asset space and wanting regulatory clarity?
So historically, from what we've seen, because as he's been Prime Minister, we haven't seen any recent developments or statements regarding our industry, but historically he's been very pro central bank digital currency and very pro blockchain innovation. We are hearing that there are members within his ministry and caucus that are very pro digital asset space and interested in within this innovation. So we're definitely hoping to see a more positive lens from our Prime Minister coming towards this industry, but I think it's going to take the right policies put in front of his desk that help him understand the actual economic benefits that this industry brings, the jobs, the growth, the ability to support meeting a net zero standard through utilization of the technology. So,
And how much are we dependent on the central government of Canada in Ottawa versus the other provinces of Canada to make regulation?
So I would say, like, if we're looking at provincially leading the pack, it would be Alberta. So Alberta's taken a very strong position on this industry. We have the Premier. She's actually had multiple ministers that are mandated to support the file. A lot of digital asset miners are looking at coming into the ecosystem, so they've made it very clear, even travel to events in the States that are put on by the Texas Blockchain Council. Alberta's open for business for this industry. Our Alberta Securities Commission regulators are considered one of the most friendly in Canada. Of course, they focus really strongly on consumer protection, but a lot of companies come in to engage with our regulators first. We have some of the most crypto-friendly banks through ATB Financial. Of course, it's not guaranteed to get a bank account, but they are always willing to explore and see if you're within their risk tolerance. So we have friendly government, friendly regulators, friendlier banks. We'd love to see that taken all across Canada, but right now we haven't seen that coming from other jurisdictions as of yet.
All right. Well, Kolea, thank you for joining us in your insights.
Thank you so much for having me here.
All right, that was Canadian Blockchain Consortium Executive Director Kolea Carrington. Now, will Drake make an appearance at Consensus? Toronto is the home of crypto tech and Drake, Ben. And folks on Myriad Markets are placing their bets on whether the King of the Six will make an appearance at Consensus 2025. Let's take a look at what the poll says right now. We have 4 prediction markets set up on Myriad Markets, 3 of which are points markets. So, folks, just for fun, they are: will Drake show up in person at Consensus 2025? Will Eric Trump mention President Trump more than 3 times? And will MoonPay President Keith Grossman tweet more than 20 exclamation points during Consensus? There is one market that you can bet USDC against for our heavy bettors out there, and that is, will Bitcoin hit $110,000 during Consensus? I like that one. I mean, Consensus has a history of raising.
Historically, that's true. There has been a
FOMO.
consensus effect on the price of Bitcoin, so we'll have to see if that happens again.
Join in on the fun at Myriad Markets. Meanwhile, Coinbase is the largest U.S. crypto exchange with over 100 million users worldwide. Its Canadian arm, Coinbase Canada, is registered as a restricted dealer with Canadian securities regulators, making it the largest international crypto exchange registered in Canada. And joining us now with more is Coinbase Canada CEO Lucas Matheson. Lucas, thank you so much for joining. So we just had a whole conversation on how Canada is addressing the crypto industry and innovating and such. So where is Coinbase Canada positioning itself, especially with news that we've just heard that Robinhood is acquiring WonderFi, and so there's competition coming in?
Yeah, Canada is actually a thriving crypto ecosystem. It's a third most crypto-aware country of all the international geos that we operate around in the world. And Canadians generally really understand the opportunity for crypto adoption. So Coinbase has been building a business here in Canada for the last couple of years. As you mentioned, we're registered as a restricted dealer under the CSA. We're pursuing our CRO registration to get our full dealer status. And our role here is to help expand the opportunity for Canadians to get access to digital assets. And we work very closely with regulators to provide more regulatory clarity in market and expand the types of products and services that Canadians can use. Today, we're actually launching our electronic fund transfer, which allows users to connect directly to their bank accounts and transfer more money in and out of their bank accounts. It's the most requested feature that we've had in our app over the last couple of years, and really excited to be able to service a more broad, diverse group of Canadians and higher net worth individuals that are looking to move more money in and out of Coinbase. So yeah, I'd say crypto is thriving in market right now.
There was also news that Coinbase had acquired Deribit for $2.9 billion to establish dominance in the derivatives market. Is that going to be a product available to Canadians? I know Coinbase Global had that deal going on, but will Canadians be open to that market?
Absolutely, we're really excited about the acquisition of Deribit. It positions Coinbase to be the number one, to have the most comprehensive suite of crypto derivatives in the world, and we're really keen to bring it to Canadian market. One of the opportunities for us as an industry in Canada is to work with our regulators to expand the opportunity, and this includes options, derivatives, leverage, and products like yield on USDC. And so we have a lot of opportunity in Canada to expand the types of products that we bring, that we can make available to Canadians. And that's really the opportunity for the industry over the next couple of years.
How do you see the recent election with Mark Carney coming in as Prime Minister? How will that change the conversation around policy on crypto?
Yeah, we're really excited to work with Mark Carney and his new administration. Yesterday, Minister Champagne was announced as our new finance minister, a key role in supporting crypto adoption in Canada, specifically around regulating stablecoins, which is a key theme for us in the industry. We're very keen to have our federal government recognize stablecoins as a payment instrument. Currently, we are defining in Canada as under our securities regime, and the direction of travel all over the world is to treat stablecoins as money, define them as money through market structure bills, and to make sure that they can be fully utilized as they were intended. And so one of the opportunities that our industry has been working on over the last 2 years, specifically with our federal government, is regulating stablecoins at a federal prudential level so that we can integrate it into our Retail Payments Activity Act, our open banking, and allow Canadians to use stablecoins for everyday payments.
What is the state of stablecoin offerings at Coinbase? I mean, Tether is the largest stablecoin issuer by market cap, followed by USDC. Coinbase also has its own stablecoin. So how is that? How are those product offerings being offered on Coinbase right now?
Yeah, so yesterday actually we made an exciting announcement that Coinbase invested in Stablecorp to help partner with Stablecorp to bring QCAD to market. QCAD is a Canadian denominated stablecoin that has been working over the last few years with regulators to bring QCAD to market, and we're really keen to bring a Canadian denominated stablecoin into market. We need to make sure that Canadians have access to digital assets and be able to diversify and use stablecoins in market, and we're excited to have a Canadian denominated stablecoin and hopeful that over the next year we can bring that to market successfully.
And how is Coinbase interacting, engaging with policymakers to influence crypto policy in Canada?
Yeah, one of the big initiatives in Canada right now is Stand with Crypto Canada. It's actually been a huge success. We've had a lot of people sign up to Stand with Crypto, and the idea with Stand with Crypto is that we gather advocates in Canada to help bridge the gap between our members of parliament and their understanding of the opportunity for us to embrace this technology and integrate it into our economy. And so Stand with Crypto is a really great opportunity to help us connect our constituents with their MPs. But more broadly, Coinbase is very active in working with our Bank of Canada, working with members of parliament, and working with policymakers and regulators to help define a clear path for regulation in Canada.
Apart from stablecoins, what other things would you like to see policy-wise?
Aside from stablecoins, the things that we're really keen is just helping expand the pie. So today, as an example in Canada, if you wanted to buy a digital asset that was in Bitcoin, ETH, Bitcoin Lite, or Bitcoin Cash, you were limited to $30,000 a year. And so we have quite a narrow scope of regulatory opportunity in Canada, and derivatives, leverage are two of the areas where I think we have a significant opportunity. Following on the back of our acquisition with Deribit, this is a natural extension of crypto solutions, and derivatives and options are an important part of an investment strategy and profile, and we're very keen to bring products like that into Canada to help Canadians.
I just want to follow up on your comment on Stand With Crypto. I mean, in the United States, Stand With Crypto, as well as other blockchain, crypto policy lobbyists and whatever, had a huge impact on the US elections. They went in there and they supported candidates on the congressional level as well, able to eliminate Sherrod Brown, someone who really hated Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, was able to get an incumbent like him off, and someone who's more business friendly into his seat, more friendly to crypto as well. So do you see that impact happening in Canada? Will it become an election issue?
So we just finished an election in Canada, and our hope for Stand With Crypto is that we can educate our member of Parliament, our new cohort of elected officials in Canada. And one of the exciting things that we saw with Stand With Crypto in the US through the US administration was that we saw a Congress educate themselves on the opportunity to embrace crypto. And now we see 80% pro-crypto on both sides of the House, 90% in the Senate. And the goal with Stand With Crypto here is to educate and bridge the gap between some of the misunderstandings of crypto and the opportunity for us to build a national strategy in Canada to embrace this technology, to prioritize it at a federal level, and to put people in charge of coordinating across our government. And so our federal government has a pretty significant opportunity to embrace this technology and to prioritize it. And Stand With Crypto, I think, will help bridge that gap and connect constituents with their members of parliament to help them appreciate that Canadians care about crypto. Canadians are passionate about crypto. We have, as I mentioned, we're the third most crypto-aware country of all the international geos that we operate in. We always say Ethereum was founded here, and Canadians have a sense of pride around the fact that we used to be leaders in crypto here in Canada. And we believe that we have an opportunity to embrace this technology and to empower Canadians to build on Web3. As you know, we have an incredible, diverse group of Canadians that are building in Web3. We have a very strong university system, strong computing science programs. Thousands of Canadians are building on-chain and in Web3, and it's important that we provide that regulatory clarity so that these businesses can help drive growth and economic growth in Canada.
All right, yeah, seize the opportunity, seize the day. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Coinbase Canada CEO Lucas Matheson. We're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we've got the Tezos co-founder Arthur Brightman speaking with us next. That was my list coming off. Can you speak, Carrie?
Stay ahead of the markets with the Crypto Daybook America's newsletter. Get daily price updates, key trends, and analyses delivered straight to your inbox every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Sign up now at coindesk.com/newsletters.
Welcome back. Tezos is a self-upgrading blockchain platform known for its energy-efficient proof-of-stake protocol supporting decentralized applications and smart contracts. Its native token, XTZ token, has a market cap of about $700 million, ranking 103 of all cryptocurrencies tracked by coin market cap data. Here to update us on the state of Tezos is co-founder Arthur Brightman. Arthur, thanks for joining us here at Consensus.
Thanks for having me.
So Tezos launched in 2018, had some exciting developments. I remember seeing tokenized art, gaming. It's dropped off on the chart a little bit in terms of daily transactions. I saw it peaked in 2022 with about 300,000 transactions. Nowadays it's about 50 to 100. And so the token is also down 90% from its 2021 peak. So I guess, what's the game plan to get more people using Tezos, to get it on the map in daily transactions again?
Well, first of all, today we have a lot of transactions on Etherlink. Etherlink is a layer 2 platform which has been built on top of Tezos, which is entirely compatible with Ethereum, and there's a few 100,000 transactions on that on Etherlink. So if you look at the total amount, there's actually way more transaction now. I would say most tokens today trade on sentiment more than anything, but there's no lack of excitement in what's happening inside the Tezos ecosystem. We have more builders coming, joining and creating applications on Tezos. So I think there's a matter of visibility. Definitely a lot of attention has shifted away from Tezos towards other projects, and it's regaining this attention and showing that there's a lot of exciting things happening on the network.
In terms of exciting things happening, what are the biggest use cases? Is it stablecoins? Is it art? Is it NFTs? What are you bullish on in terms of projects on Tezos?
Look, at the end of the day, Tezos is a layer 1 platform. It supports Enshrine rollups, so it is for everyone. It is for everything. There are exciting use cases in art. We have an absolutely fantastic art community on Tezos L1, which is extremely active and producing beautiful art. You can check it out on object.com, for example, or Teia, which are some of the major platforms. We've had new exciting projects launching on Etherlink as well, like Henji, which is an order book DEX for trading in DeFi, like Superland, which aggregates yields from different platforms, and also recently launched Uranium.io, which is a platform where you can actually buy physical uranium. You get beneficial ownership in physical uranium on chain, and you can do that today.
Amazing. What about meme coins? Are you interested in that? I mean, that was obviously a strategy with Solana a couple of years ago. They were suffering a little bit, but they definitely had a sort of bonk structured strategy around meme coins, and it's really lifted their profile. Is that something you would do?
There's a few meme coins platforms on Tezos. I don't think any of them are sparkly taken on, so we have a few of them on the Tezos platform. People are experimenting. Pro experimentation. I think that, on the one hand, the meme coins, I don't think they bring anything like very, very tangible. I see it as a form of like fun and gambling. On the other hand, I think a lot of them are playing cards on the table by saying this is what it is, so why not? But that, personally, it's not what I'm most excited about, but like I said, Tezos is a platform for everything and everyone, and if you want to have a meme coin, this is a great platform to launch it.
What regions in the world are you seeing in particular development use of Tezos? And maybe you could tell me from the ground those particular stories that are emerging.
It's a bit everywhere, but we see some traction specifically in Europe and Southeast Asia.
Okay. And tell me about what on the ground are you seeing in terms of stories that people using Tezos and, I guess, transitioning into this new digital age?
On the ground, that's a wide question. Look, I think the industry as a whole, it's not just about Tezos, is in search of use cases, and I think it's one of the major, problem in our industry, which is that Bitcoin came out in 2009, and there's still only a few killer use cases that exist today for cryptocurrencies. Stablecoins have been one of the major ones. It's real, like people are really using them for remittance, they're using them for payments, they're using them for savings. Store of value has been a narrative, but by and large, the main use case for a lot of this has been buying and selling tokens. That's what a lot of the industry is about. That's what DeFi is about. DeFi essentially supports people buying and selling token. And so I think we need to move past that. And that's why I'm excited about the tokenization of assets like uranium, because you're actually bringing something. People have tokenized gold in the past, but you can buy gold anywhere, right? There's a million ways to own gold. There was no way really to own physical uranium before that unless you were willing to pay $4 million. So unlocking new markets is something that I haven't really seen happen, and I'm glad to that this is being pioneered on Tezos.
You mentioned Europe and Asia seeing activity there. Now that the Trump administration has come and they are opening up crypto policy, trying to get regulatory clarity, inviting entrepreneurs to come back, do you see potential of entrepreneurs returning to the United States?
I think the entrepreneurs are they're very curious breed, and a lot of them stayed and did build in the United States even when the government was actively trying to shut down the industry. It's shown great resiliency. But yes, I think we will see more ventures starting in the United States as a result of the government not actively trying to kill the industry, which is already immense.
All right. Well, Arthur, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
That was Tezos co-founder Arthur Brightman. All right, let's check in on the top headlines in crypto today. It's Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. This is a CoinDesk Daily Special from Toronto. We're coming to you from the CoinDesk studio at Consensus 2025, sponsored by MoonPay, the global leader in crypto payments, building up its payment stack from on-ramps and trading infrastructure to now enabling commerce and asset management. For more news in your pocket, download the CoinDesk mobile app, available on iOS and Android. All right, checking in. Right now, Israeli crypto trading platform eToro is going public on the NASDAQ, raising about $310 million from investors as it sold 6 million shares at a price of $52 a piece under the ticker eTor. The listing values the company at $4.2 billion. It is the first firm to go public after a market pause due to U.S. tariff concerns and global trade uncertainty. Cantor Equity Partners disclosed a $459 million Bitcoin acquisition, purchasing over 4,800 BTC at an average price of $95,320 per coin through Tether as part of a merger with 21 Capital, according to a regulatory filing. The deal positions 21 Capital, led by Strike CEO Jack Mallers, to launch with over 42,000 BTC, making it one of the largest public Bitcoin treasuries. 21 Capital is being launched by Brandon Lutnick. He's the son of U.S. Commerce Secretary and Cantor Fitzgerald Chair Howard Lutnick via SPAC structure using Cantor Equity Partners. Brandon Lutnick will be speaking at Consensus at 3:10 p.m. this afternoon. Finally, Robinhood is acquiring Canadian crypto firm WonderFi for $179 million in an all-cash deal valuing WonderFi at 36 Canadian cents per share, a 41% premium over its prior closing price. The deal is expected to close in the second half of 2025. WonderFi's platforms BitBuy and CoinSquare will bring Robinhood into Canada, ramping up competition for exchanges such as Coinbase and Wealthsimple Crypto. Let's take a look at the chart of the day. For XRP prices could surge to $3.40 after a bearish head and shoulders pattern failed, with CoinDesk Research's AI-assisted analysis predicting a rise to $2.85 by June 1st, driven by a breakout above the $2.40 resistance level. The bullish outlook is bolstered by XRP trading above its 200-day moving average and high trading volume, signaling strong trader confidence. Market sentiment remains positive due to Ripple's legal victories against the SEC and optimism surrounding the crypto-friendly policies of the Trump administration. For more updates, head on over to Coindesk.com. METI token surging 60% on the monthly chart, rising with the crypto markets. METI's decentralized infrastructure deploys a dual network ecosystem combining the Andromeda network with the AI-optimized Hyperion Layer 2 blockchain, designed to power high-performance Web3 applications like DeFi, gaming, and on-chain AI. Joining us now with more is Natalia Amelin, decentralization coordinator at METI. Natalia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here. Excited to be here.
So is alt season back? I mean, we saw Ethereum climb, surge, leading the crypto markets. Are you seeing similar returns on METI?
What I see, because I think in the markets we see a lot of signals, and some of them are driven by fundamentals, and some are driven by the different sentiments that are created by different economic statements that are being made, or political statements, etc. But what I do see is the excitement and creation engine in the ecosystem that is really churning, and I think we're going to see a lot of exciting things coming out, and I think that the fundamentals will continue kicking us off.
So tell me what METI Hyperion is, how its AI-optimized Layer 2 blockchain differs from traditional Layer 2s such as Optimism, and Arbitrum.
So Hyperion is different in several ways. We had to think about what are the traditional blockchains are lacking and what we need in order to bring the AI inference and AI applications on chain. And what we see, of course, is the lack of current blockchain's ability to handle the volume and intensity of applications and data. So the L2 Hyperion is instant, high throughput Layer 2 that is optimized for AI applications. The way it differs from the other L2s is, for example, it has the METIS has the decentralized network of nodes, and these decentralized nodes actually become their role is kind of twofold. It is first of all, it's as sequencers, they are used to process transactions, but with them we can rebalance the load effectively, and this helps with the throughput that we see in our network. Also, it's another purpose of that is the decentralization. You don't want to have the whole keys to your purse in one person's hands in the blockchain, generally speaking. So with having the decentralized sequencer nodes, this risk is minimized.
So you're Canadian, I believe, or? Yep.
Sorry?
So, are you Canadian?
I am Canadian,
good,
yes.
Good. So I'm just wondering what it's like to be an entrepreneur here in Canada working in crypto. How do you feel about that?
I think it's different, right? And I think in Canada we can definitely benefit from the improved business climate for the crypto companies. But in general, I wouldn't say we have any problems, right? I think what I see is some of the impediment to the progress is a lack of regulatory clarity still that exists in Canada around the firms operating here. And because of that, you still see the firms choosing to incorporate or move to the different jurisdictions, thus making Canada to miss out on the economic potential that is here. So I think that's a challenge. I see in the US recently there has been a trend with providing a little bit more certainty for the crypto companies through regulation and clarity, and I think we could benefit from it here as well.
Absolutely. It's fascinating. I mean, everyone is jumping into artificial intelligence, so tell me a bit about how Hyperion's approach differs from, say, more centralized applications like ChatGPT and Gemini.
Yeah, I think what we see, and that's exactly why we started creating our AI stack at METIS, and Hyperion is part of it, that we see several problems in AI industry, right? And I mean, we can talk about it forever, but very briefly, it's all boils down to a lack of verifiability and understanding what is actually happens, and a lack of human control over it. Today, we see that the models, I guess, the market really dominated by a large generalized models. And these models are not necessarily human aligned, or we don't know that. What I mean by human aligned is we don't know if their actions, behaviors, and proposed decisions and outcomes are aligned with human values. It appears to be so on the surface, but ultimately it's the test that AI still needs to pass, and we do not have a way to verify it. And I think that's one of the problems. Second problem is that we believe that the problem of data alignment comes from the data being sort of undefined, unpriced, unvalued, and as a general rule, it's available on the internet, so the large companies scrape it and use it in their data models. But there is no really benefit for you as a data provider, or me, and we think that because of that disconnect, it's very difficult to make AI